Hello, heroes! Thank you for tuning in to episode number 18 of the Nexus. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening. We have a great show for you today. It's me and our lore-loving, time-altering gamer, David Troy.
Hey, Adam, I'll tell you, today I'm going to be the only host you need and the one you deserve. This podcast is going to be so nice. We've done it twice.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening, we had a little bit of snafu. So we're actually doing the opening a second time as our Twitch went down. And we lost our Audacity. So we definitely need to let you guys know what is going on. So David, what have you been up to this week in gaming?
Well, we got a chance to bounce up against Garrosh again. It's probably going to be our last time meeting Garrosh for a couple of weeks. Our 25-man raid team's going to have some people moving in and out. The Salad Senate on Convert to Raid on Airy Peak. So that's the life of a 25-man team, is that you're going to have some change of characters, and that's always fun. It's always refreshing to get some new blood in. But we're probably going to start back at the beginning with the water guy, Immersius. Beyond that, got to about rank 13 in Hearthstone, and I decided to pretty much call it quits for the month at this point. I'm gonna keep my rank where it is and not lose any more stars, and wait for the real first season to begin. And also with Heroes, got a chance to spread my wings a little bit. I've been mostly concentrating on Vala in terms of my playtime, but now I'm doing a little bit of Muradin. Maybe gonna do a little bit of Malfurion as well. Kind of keep, those are my three guys that I bought with my 6,000 gold, which will eventually be wiped, and then I'll have to do it again. But I'm gonna try and learn a little bit about different guys right now.
Hence the life of the alpha, where everything will get wiped at some point.
That's right.
Probably when you least expect it or want it the least. Like right when you get to something that you really, really, really want, then boom, next day, gone.
I'm guessing it's going to happen like seconds before I finish a game without dying.
The best way to finish a game without dying is to play Abathur.
Oh yeah, that's true, because you can just kind of hang back and you're kind of the puppet master, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really gotten the hang of the specialist classes yet. I've played Gazlo a little bit. He looks like he'd be a lot of fun if I could figure out what he's for. And Abathur is just too weird. It's like a Cthulhu type adventure, and I'm just not quite ready for that advanced level of heroes yet. I'm happy you doing my pew-pewing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I've been playing a little more Abathur, as I did buy him for gold. And once you play him a couple times, you really get the feel for him. And when it comes to map objectives, he's super helpful because you go into somebody else. As long as one of your heroes' friends are there, you enter into combat with them. So you can jump out of who you're in, jump into somebody else, and you're now there to help.
It's like a two-man snowmobile suit.
Yes.
Wandering around.
So, yeah, my week was Heroes of the Storm. I've been playing a decent amount of it. I'm a little frustrated with bugs, but yet again, that's what happens with an alpha. I can't seem to get done with any of the quests. I have to win 2 games as an assassin and as a specialist, but I'm not getting them even though I'm winning them. So the gold and the XP that I should be getting, I'm not. So it's just a little frustrating because I do want to get some more heroes, and the gold income's just not there with being level 22 and not getting that XP and gold. It's a little rough.
Yeah, how do you feel? I mean, being level 22 now, there's really no firm objectives beyond that at this point, right? Like, it's just you're building up levels and getting gold, but there's nothing else to shoot for beyond the epic quests, I think, right?
Correct. You get the epic quests, and that's it. I think we're going to see things like at level 30, rank mode unlocks, or, stuff like that. I'd really like to see them do something like, if you get to max level, you either get like a free champion or maybe a skin of your choice. Say, hey, you've put enough time into the game, it's worth something that would cost you money.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Something like a mount. Now, of course, it's not going to be a cool mount because it's free, but like even a different colored mount, something like that can come out. So a little bit of something, kind of what Like, I mean, in Hearthstone, they do a good job of it. That even though you're kind of at meaning, I'm at level 60 shaman in Hearthstone,
Hmm.
and I'm still getting stuff like, oh, I've got a gold earth elemental or something like that. It doesn't really matter, and I don't really care, but it still feels like I've gotten something.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely need to add more rewards in there after level 20. Otherwise, you might as well just stop people at level 20 and be like, every XP you get so much in gold at that point.
Paragon levels. Dare
Paragon.
say it.
Speaking of Paragon levels, the time that I haven't been spending in Heroes of the Storm has been on Reaper of Souls, as it did come out this past Tuesday. I have been playing way too much of it. You can just ask my wife. She'll agree with you. And I've been playing the Crusader. I got up to level 67, which is awesome. I love the Crusader. I've tweeted it a couple times, told a lot of people, but now that I'm actually recording and sending out there, I'm telling everybody that it's basically the Avengers all rolled into one. So you get
Which ones?
you get to throw the hammer just like Thor. You get to throw your shield like Captain America, and then if you dye yourself the right color red, you then look like a tin can Iron Man.
You don't get to be a little like sultry Black Widow at any point.
Maybe early on, if you don't wear any armor and you're the female Crusader, maybe it'll work that way.
It's experimental college years.
Yeah, the Crusader, the college years.
That's it.
But like I've told people, it really feels like you could almost just pluck the Crusader out of Diablo and put him in Heroes of the Storm, and then just start playing them. You know, the skills are there. The fact that you really only have 4 to 6 buttons to play with and on a regular basis works out well. They have their laws where basically it's just a buff, so it's like a passive ability that a lot of the Heroes of the Storm people have. It's really nifty.
So do you think he might be showing up soon? Like you might be able to test him out at a certain game conference coming up?
No, at the game conference coming up soon, the only one that I would say I'm pretty confident we're going to start seeing is Chen Stormstout.
Okay.
I mean, he's everywhere. When are they just going to give him to us? A few things that I've done in Diablo that's been funny is that the key bindings. I'm really starting to hate the fact that the two games have different key bindings. So you can't mount in Diablo. So I'm constantly hitting Z to try and mount up and move faster. And, and the worst of it is I'm hitting Q, which in Heroes is your basically your cheap ability, the one you're gonna spam the most. Well, in Diablo, Q is your health potions. So I could be missing 100 health and I waste a health potion. So it's a little frustrating.
So you're not killing anything, but you're awfully healthy.
Yes, and the Crusader actually is pretty good at getting health back anyways. So I don't really need to be using health potions, but I'd like to have them just in case. But that's been a post on the forums, is kind of talking about key bindings in Heroes of the Storm, so that way you can kind of have the same controls that you have in Diablo, so people who switch between games often don't have to really think about what buttons they're pressing. They're just natural feeling no matter what game you're in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of I would like that ability like in Heroes with between heroes for sure, because a lot of the abilities don't translate immediately. Like certain abilities are not like my GTFO abilities I love so much that it's not always the exact same type of ability. Your E is not always the E on another hero, so it would be kind of great if I could actually do it even in game.
Yeah, it's like if they have a GTFO button, it's always mapped E would be nice. It's kind of like on World of Warcraft. You have your mages that have blink, the monks have roll, and I have a pinky button on my mouse, and I always map the getaway button to my pinky.
Actually, I did the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's also my pinky button. It's like your pinky finger has to be your shameful flea finger.
Mm-hmm. And for paladins, like Uther, that's your hearth bubble.
Your hearth bubble. Well, see, I don't think that's as shameful. That shows a little bit of strength. I'm a shameless. I'll just take off. I'm your neutral evil character in Dungeons and Dragons. I have no shame.
You have no shame.
2 kobolds, I'm out of there.
He who runs away lives to fight another day.
That's right. That's right. Let you guys sit there, you crusaders. Sit there, take all the damage. I'm gonna be back here, casting my conjuring refreshments in the back.
Yeah, Crusaders, the replacement for Uther, as we've discussed.
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to see him in game just to give Uther a bit of a comeuppance, a little bit of a rivalry there. It's time. He's been kind of ruling the battlefield a little bit too long.
And I'm sure Rem will love the fact that we're talking about replacing Uther already.
That's good. It looks good on him. He's the Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid. We need to take him down a peg.
It's funny because even though there was a small patch this past week, and I didn't put it in the notes, so I don't know if you actually took a look at it.
I did see it. I saw the bow. I know they did. They tweaked it. It was a lot of nerfs for the most part. There were a couple of buffs, but it was mostly nerfs. But I saw it was like a couple of lines for each person. Then Uther was about 10 lines.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. It seemed like really they were like, okay, every ability that Uther has, let's make it weaker.
Yeah. Do you get the feeling that Uther's going to be kind of like an ongoing joke?
Yeah.
Like in the game, like it's like, I don't know what, kind of like it's like the nerf the Ret Paladin or whatever in WoW
it's
kind of thing.
It's the same thing. And what was it? I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about Ghostcrawler being over at Riot doing League of Legends Balance, and he's like, I don't need more money to come to your company. You just have to make sure you put a Paladin in the game so that way when I get annoyed, I can nerf it.
I heard that too. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, there must always be a Paladin in the game to nerf.
Yeah.
I like that very much. Yeah, and it's even Uther. It's a Paladin again. It makes me want to play Arthas just to beat down on him.
Yeah. Definitely. I think, was it the only one that I think I remember seeing was the Witch Doctor got a decent buff to his passive and then to the Gargantuan, because the Gargantuan I didn't feel like was a solid option compared to the, I can't remember the name of it, but the other ability, the one where he summons like the Spectre to fight for him.
Yeah, I did notice that. That looked like a pretty big buff too. It was everything else was kind of like we're going to take 10 off here, 10 off there. That one, if I remember, would look like a pretty big buff to the Gargantuan.
Yeah, it was like an extra 100 health per level. An extra 400 health to start, and then an extra 40 health per level increase. So he's going to be able to he's going to be more tanky. So now with the Witch Doctor, you have the tanky Gargantuan, it looks like, or the DPS Spectre.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. I think that's good. The one I saw that was a little weird was they nerfed the Knights. Did you see that?
Yeah, the Knights, they're actually pretty powerful, I felt.
Yeah, I'm trying to see from a balance point of view. That would I assume they want the games to go longer then, if you're nerfing the Knights?
No, shorter, because now they have less health. So you can kill them faster, and they're doing less damage to you, so you don't have to necessarily always go back when you're done killing that group.
Okay.
So you're killing them faster, and they're doing less damage to you to keep you kind of in combat.
Okay, I get you. That's advanced level MOBA thinking. I'm just thinking, I'm like, these guys are stronger. They're going to be busting down the forts and stuff like that faster. But okay, all right.
Well, they're not stronger. They're weaker. They nerfed them.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. If they're weaker, then I would think that the game would go longer because they're not busting down forts, right?
It. Yeah. I guess that does make sense. So I wonder if it'll balance out. Then you'll be able to take them easier, but they won't do as much damage like during the when you have them. So
they made a nerf that means nothing then.
Right. They made it. Yeah, it's funny because I thought of it as taking them the exact opposite, which is interesting because you thought about what they're going to do once you have them.
Yeah, to me that was the thought. I mean, they did feel pretty strong, but I mean, I'm usually running for my life at that point, so I don't always take them on directly because I usually play ranged. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be a reason for it. It just I found it interesting that it was an NPC that got nerfed rather than a class.
Well, that's the one group of 4 enemies that are together on the map. So nerfing them probably needed to come in because I would be able to take the 2 big ogres or the what was the other group? There's another group out there, so I was able to take those 2 at pretty easily. But when you get into that group of 3 knights and the sorcerer, they tended to kind of beat the crap out of you a little bit.
Well, maybe it's just as simple as they put it up there as level 15 solo, and no level 15 was able to solo it.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I'm interested now to actually jump in and try them out because I forgot about that when I was playing.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'll stay away from them until another level or two.
So you're the Johnny Lawrence then of the Nexus.
No, don't. I don't want to personally get nerfed.
No, man, Cobra Kai, man, Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
That's right.
I'm gonna sweep the leg. No.
Always sweep the leg, and I'll just be the wimpy guy in the background, like, yeah, Johnny, yeah,
Go get him.
go get him. This is a ruthless guy who didn't even care. I was like that guy.
Man, yeah. So, in terms of general news for Heroes of the Storm, we are in Tyrael week. For those of you who don't know who Tyrael are, we're not really hitting them as a hero spotlight, but in the future we're going to try to line up hero spotlight with whoever the hero of the week is. Tyrael is a D3 character. He's kind of the main archangel that helps humanity, and I played him a little bit. He was free to play, I want to say, first week of the alpha. Did you get a chance to play him at all?
I did. Actually, I think Tyrael was one of the very first heroes I played. I found him interesting. I was unable to do anything with him, really. I wasn't a very good Tyrael. I was a pretty poor Tyrael, I guess I would say. I found his abilities interesting. I liked the whole tank from a distance, which seemed very similar to WoW PvP type tanking, whereas you're absorbing damage to a character who's not, you're not jumping in their way. You're basically just taking the damage unto yourself. Very angelic, selfless type move. Mm-hmm. He's very cool. I like everything about him. I was constantly screwing up his throw the sword and then appear in the sword ability. Basically showing up where I really didn't want to show up. But I mean, he's a very cool character to play. I'm not a big Diablo player, but I played enough of it that I got to see him in Diablo 3, and he's a very cool, iconic lore figure. I have to say, the trailer, I loved the trailer.
Yes,
I'm really loving these trailers. Mm-hmm. It's some of the best stuff I've seen out of Blizzard. Maybe because it's coming so often now. And we're really getting a chance to see, as opposed to just a patch trailer or something like that, where it's like, Vol'jin talks to the trolls or whatever that, those little scenes are. It's actually like, this is why this guy is so cool. Mm-hmm. And I'm really showing it. And they're just a lot of fun. I was watching it before the podcast, and I do really, really enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. What I really think is cool is it kind of answers the question that we had kind of when the Tychus week happened, when I was like, are we going to see these trailers for just the new people, or are they going to do them for everybody? And I think this really says that they're going to start working through all the heroes they have and putting out these little trailers for every hero at this point.
Yeah, I want to see everybody now at this point. I think a Diablo one would be great. I mean, I think that would be a lot of fun to see a trailer like that. I just want Diablo kind of, talking. What they kind of feel like, and maybe this is a terrible example. It kind of feels like I'm at an arena and my favorite wrestlers walking in.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what I want to see, like Diablo. Like, I killed Deckard Cain with my little pinky. That kind of thing. Which shows you how much I know about Diablo. But right. it's it's like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is like just trash talking a little bit, right? I think that's it. I feel like there should be some background music, and I'm like all holding up a sign.
Oh man, you're right, 100%. So I wonder if we do the math, there's 22 heroes, 2 have been done, or 23 and 2 have been done, so that's like 21 weeks. If they add 3 or 4 more, I'm going to say we're going to see at least a more open beta in at least 25 weeks, where almost like an open beta. How's that for crazy speculation?
Well, they've expanded alpha already, right? Yeah. I keep hearing about people getting invites. Even someone on my raid team got an invite. So I lost all my bragging rights at that point. But, they're opening it up. So I think it's going to be kind of a soft transition into a beta. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be like it's going to be kind of quiet, like the way they launched Hearthstone. and then all of a sudden you're going to start seeing more go out because the game's pretty smooth. I mean, I know you've had some problems with quests, but I honestly, as great a game as Hearthstone is, I find there being less bugs at this point in Heroes than there is in Hearthstone even now.
Oh, really? I haven't played a lot of Hearthstone lately. It's been little. I'm looking forward to the iPad release, honestly.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's still a little things pop up here and there. I mean, nothing game breaking. Great game doesn't affect gameplay really, but just like hovering cards and things like that. I still see a little bit. Whereas I don't get a lot of it in Heroes. I mean, it's obviously you run into it more with quests.
Yeah.
And I know you guys were definitely frustrated last Friday in terms of in terms of Fimless's trying to get those hit level 20 there. Where he was running into all kinds of issues in terms of it not counting certain achievements.
Yep.
But other than the questing, I don't really find a whole lot wrong with the game, to be honest.
No, not at all. I agree. And then if it's the questing that's wrong, I mean, you can't complain. I mean, we're playing a game that is in an alpha phase, and that's part of it. We tell them what's going wrong so they can then go into the code and fix it.
Oh, no, we certainly can't complain. I mean, think about it this way. You're losing XP for XP that you're going to lose anyway. So
for a game that technically doesn't exist.
That you're not paying for.
No, we're not paying for it. Actually, we won't be
right.
paying for it technically at all because it is free to play.
It is free to play. Have you? But the question is, how much have you paid for it so far?
No comment.
Oh, okay, that's right. Spouses are watching. I can, on the other hand, probably say I've still paid nothing for the game as of yet. Although a skin coming up is very tempting, especially considering the hero I play the most. So we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we'll bring it right up now. Might as well.
All right. Put me on the spot.
I'll put you right on the spot. So we were talking about it. So with Rebirth Souls, they've announced 2 new skins. One is Demonic Tyrael, who we were just talking about, and the other is Angelic Vala. And Vala's kind of your champion, and you even said, I think I might spend real money on this. This breaks your rule of free-to-play games.
It does break my rule on free-to-play games. Now, I'm going to make the argument that my rule has always been I will not spend money to get any type of competitive advantage. So, I'm talking about things like buying cards in Hearthstone or buying champions or heroes. So I don't feel that this, as this does not give me a competitive advantage, I will allow myself to buy this skin because it's cool. I still haven't yet, though, because I'm not sure if I can bring myself to do it. But I think I might, because this is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. I like the little halo. I like, she's all decked out in gold. And someone's got to be into gold if Rem's not here.
Exactly.
And but I'm still never going to buy a mount in a million years, Blizzard. Sorry.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, there's the cool color variants, too. There's a purple color variant to it where it looks really awesome, and I think blue. So it's basically her kind of, her face is blacked out under a hood, very Diablo Angel-esque, which obviously is why it's Angelic Vala.
Yeah, I was wondering about Demonic Tyrael, though, because, what's that thing over his head? I'm not, like I said, I don't play a lot of Diablo. Does that mean anything, or is it just supposed to be a scary halo?
I think it's just supposed to be a red, scary halo. For those listening, go check it out. It is on the Heroes of Storm website. I think it is awesome. That is one of my favorite skins, is the Demonic Tyrael. I'm super excited for that one. The second recolor is green. So it's almost like you're mixing in a little bit of the World of Warcraft fell energy to him.
Yeah,
which I think is pretty neat. One thing that I kind of thought was funny, kind of thinking back on a couple episodes ago when we talked about the Angelic Vala, the first version of it that we saw was literally just a recolor. She didn't have anything different with the face. It was just almost just a gold recolor of her normal skin. And I think it was you who said, man, if this is what the skins are going to be, it's not worth it.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks a lot better than before. So maybe perhaps I motivated them to make this skin. We're going to get this guy to buy this skin, so we'll just make it look as awesome as possible.
Yeah, they're listening.
I'll say,
so be careful.
I'll say one thing. The strange thing about the demonic Tyrael, because as I said, I just can't get Tyrael to work, so I can't imagine myself buying a skin for a champion or hero I may not be playing a lot of. But when I was actually going through the skins, it wasn't the demonic one that I really liked. It was the Seraphim one.
Yeah, that's really cool. And they have like the dark seraphim as well as
Yeah,
a recolor.
but it's creepy looking, like that
Yeah,
kind of dead face. Like it's just that
it
I'm
looks
trying to
like
remember the
the
movie.
almost weeping angels from Doctor Who.
Yeah, like a Weeping Angels, and like also it reminded me of some old like Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger type character. I couldn't quite remember. It was like an automaton thing,
Hmm.
and it was just like it's such a dead face, and it's just like it gave me the creeps, and I was like, okay, I'd like to get that one just to creep people out.
Hmm. I really like how they give you just a little bit of a story for each skin, so it kind of lets you know like what's going on that makes this skin different. Like demonic Tyrael, they said he was the the demon of pride, like one of the sin demons, and he was pride. And I'm like I can see how justice turns into pride. Like I thought that was a neat little thing. And
Yeah,
then
they're putting some thought behind it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then Seraphim is, it was when Imperius destroys the high heaven or takes over the high heavens. He's on Sanctuary as like the leading the charge and protecting against Imperius, which I really want to see Imperius in this game because he's like in the angel, but like the fighting angel, like big and it'll be fun to see him in this game eventually.
Yeah, I gotta. This is where I gotta. I'll bow to your lore knowledge in this case. So Imperius is like he's the general of the angels, like the in real angel stuff, like
Yeah.
the Michael kind of angel, like he's like leads the angelic forces.
Yes, that's what I would definitely say that. Because
Cool.
you've got me on the who Michael is in terms of actual like real. I'm gonna call it lore.
Yeah, he's the archangel that leads the fight
The
against
Legion.
Lucifer in our canon.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
for
Like,
sure.
yeah, that's
Then
the idea. Yeah, in terms of like the whole like Paradise Lost, like striking Lucifer and his demons down. That's like the general angel. He's
yeah,
the tough guy angel.
yeah. He's
So
kind of the tough guy angel. He kind of leads the battalion of angels to fight in the Sin War, um, and everybody else kind of it feels to me that in time of war he's like the leader of the angels, where Malthael, who was the archangel of wisdom, who turns into the the reaper of souls, the angel of death and the new, he was kind of like the peacetime leader because he was wisdom and he knew what was right. So it's
okay.
really interesting how they kind of have the angels set up because there's 5 archangels and just like it matches like the 7 demons over in Diablo.
So you can tell we've only got two hosts today because we're getting off on all these tangents. But
Yeah.
okay, so in Diablo then, so do the archangels have a boss? Like, is there like a god type figure, or is it just the five archangels and the three primevals?
So no, well, there's 7 evils, 4 lesser, 3 prime,
Okay.
and they're actually all above the regular demons. So real quick, what you have is there is technically the head, like what they were. They've all come from a different entity. So you have Anu, which is like the gold dragon.
Mm-hmm.
He died to defeat Tethmit, or I might be saying it wrong. Who was the 7-headed kind of evil dragon?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the 7 heads became the evils, and Anu became the archangels. And then there's this whole thing where angels are born from like music. I think it is. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So they have like if they ever wanted to, they probably could find a way of like bringing back their leader.
Okay. Okay.
If that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
We'll just from now on, Madam's going to be doing all the Diablo lore segments. Just
Well,
letting everybody know.
yeah. Well, for the record, I have the Book of Tyrael and the Book of Cain, which is really like a good chunk of lore in there. So
Hmm.
that's where I remember reading it from, and this was a little while ago.
I may order those along with the War Crimes book coming out because
Yeah.
I want to get cracking on that.
I would recommend it because it's almost like they're encyclopedias but done in a entertaining way because
Oh, okay.
it's basically the book of the Book of Cain is, Deckard Cain traveling and telling you stories of all this stuff that's going on. In the Book of Tyrael, Leah takes over after Deckard Cain's death, and then Tyrael then goes and takes over after her, kind of keeping the journal for the Haradrim. So,
okay, all right.
Yeah.
We should probably move on. The League of Legends listeners are falling asleep.
So let's see. Other news we have is Dustin Browder kind of wrote his first blog about, what was it? Team leveling, XP gain. Really, what I want to kind of know, I want to know from a couple of you, but from you now, I guess, is after reading the blog, do you feel like they've hit the goal that they set, that they want to make it so not only does the team leveling allow people to leave lane and help each other out, but it takes away what I would consider some of the biggest toxic issues with last hitting and all that out of the game as well?
Well, when last we visited this issue, I was kind of a little bit critical about team leveling in the sense that it felt like the game was becoming a Zerg fest.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean he clearly obviously wasn't retorting to me, but it worked out perfectly. And came back and explained why the idea for team leveling, that they had tried not doing team leveling, but essentially it was getting in the way of the objectives. And I think that's something that's going to be a constant struggle in this game, is how to make the objectives relevant, but not without skewing the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, it is skewing the rest of the game still a little bit. I still don't feel that we've got a real incentive to lane. I still think the advantages you have by grouping together and ignoring like a lane or two are still higher, because even if you're not real, because he talks about you're going to fall behind in leveling, but the problem is, at least at this stage, is you're going to have some dumb person, usually me, like wander into that group of 4 people and just get mowed down.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the XP that you get from mowing down that player is going to pretty much be the equivalent of taking down the minions that you would have in that lane. So you're kind of getting all the XP that you would have gotten in that lane. You haven't lost any players. You're probably able to Zerg an objective, and one of their guys is dead, all at the same time. So I still don't see the advantage of it. Strangely enough, the one part of the game where I feel has got that balance of laning, and having team battles is the Haunted Mines. When you're down with the skulls and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going through everything, that's the one. If the rest of the game could feel like that little instance, that would be perfect for me. I really like that. It feels like, okay, there's a real incentive, and maybe it's because getting those skulls is such a tangible advantage in terms of building up your grave column, that people feel like they've got to do it. They've got to capture all those skulls. They've got to make sure that they don't fall too far behind. Whereas I don't get that same feeling like I got to kill these minions to get this XP. Like, you don't have that urgency, and maybe it's ignorance on the part of that we. I don't mean ignorance; it's kind of a strong word, but just the player base not knowing that, or that there is an issue. Like I'm saying, maybe it pays off to just pick off the occasional guy that comes by, as opposed to sitting around killing the minions and then waiting for them to Zerg you.
Now, do you think that the Haunted Mines works out really well because it's really only 2 lanes until that event happens? So it makes it so you have less lanes you have to cover, which means you're going to have a 3 and a 2 lane anyways. So why would you go 5? Because it's so easy to get between the 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because I not so much the idea of the lanes. I think it really is because it's a real tangible reward. Like, as a player, like when you start seeing, it's like, oh my god, they got 30 skulls, we got 3 skulls. Mm-hmm. Like, you're like, we're effed, right? Unless we do something about it quick. And so even though there may be 3 of us, and there's 2 of them on the other side of the map, we're going to try and lane down and get those skulls because we've got to get those. It's actually, psychologically, if not actually, there's more of an advantage to go and farm those skulls than there is just to kill those 2 guys.
Got it.
because just killing those two guys, they're out for 20 seconds and we gain some XP. But we have this monstrous giant grave golem that's going to be coming. That's going to take a while to bring down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more just the tangibility of the reward, whereas it's hard to see the levels. The leveling being such a tangible reward, especially when so many games kind of end up just being 21-20, 22-20 level-wise. Like, even if you're behind, you're eventually going to catch up, and then once you hit 20, there's not a whole lot more incentive to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what I also see is that when you start playing with your friends, so when it becomes free-to-play and you have more people to play with that you know, I think we're going to see that people are going to understand that if you see 5 people coming, go behind your turret and play defensively while the rest of your people cover their lanes. 3-on-5 with your turrets. Right now, like you said, there's going to be that one person who goes, "Oh, I'm going to go and stop them," and they run into the middle of them and die. So I think as the player base gets bigger and the player base becomes more knowledgeable about what will become the meta of the game, we're going to see that you're going to get more of the tangible bonus to staying split up opposed to rushing. I think that's just going to take time.
I think it's going to depend on the map too. All right, like Cursed Hollow, because the tributes just kind of pop up.
Mm-hmm.
It almost I never see it being a disadvantage to group up.
Right.
In that one, just because even if it's far away on the map, if you can catch 2 or 3 of them at that tribute, you can usually get there in time to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's 5 of you, they're gone.
Yeah.
I've been seeing black cards. Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was starting to see almost kind of the number of people in lane start to iron itself out based on the map already. Where in Cursed Hollow, you're seeing 3 people go mid, because then you can move those 3 people to wherever real quickly.
That makes sense.
In the Golem, I've been seeing 3 people up top. I don't know. I think that's how it's worked out. Blackheart Bay, I've been seeing 1 up top and then 2 in the middle, 2 in the bottom, because that's where everything kind of spawns. So you're starting to see these like almost definitive map specific, gameplay.
Yeah, Blackheart seems to work for me. Like, that's another one. Like, you get the Zerging, but it seems a little more chaotic because of the chests and getting the doubloons. And then you get those like kind of team battles right in the middle to cash them in. Like, to me, that map works really, really well in this game.
Yep.
Because it seems to hit everything. It's not really traditional laning like you see in Haunted Mines. Mm-hmm. It's something different. It's something very different from traditional MOBA, which I know is what they're kind of aiming at. So in a way, I mean, in terms of the game as a whole, it's working as intended in the sense that each map really has a different flavor. I'm just a little surprised how pronounced the different flavors are.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna. I want to see what they do with the next map. I know they're happy with the maps they have, and they're probably not gonna put another map out anytime soon. But I want to see what they've learned from these maps, because I don't see any big design changes happening with these maps, and see what they go and do with the next ones that they start putting out.
What's your least favorite map?
Cursed Hollow.
Cursed Hollow?
Yep. For the main reason that if you lose one set of them, I feel like you're too far behind. I feel like it's too much of a inconvenience, where in the other ones, if you lose one, it's not that big of a deal. You can always make it up by getting the next objective.
Yeah.
And then specifically in Blackheart Bay, if you're not getting the doubloons at all, you can really push and stay even if you're playing like stronger. Where in the opposite is if you just get the doubloons, then you're able to make up if your team's a little weaker in terms of team fights. So I find that Cursed Hollow doesn't have that like balance yet. I think it needs to be a little weaker of an objective.
Yeah, it's funny for me. My mind says Cursed Hollow, but my heart says what's Dragon Stout, Dragonshire.
Oh, Dragonshire.
Dragonshire, and I don't know why. It's just something about that map bothers me. I don't know if it's just because it's so obvious to like sit in those in the shrines. There's something about it. It's like I was telling you before. Like I'm the only person in the world that doesn't like Skyrim, and I don't know why. And I know I should, but I don't. And it's just something about a feel to that map. Something bothers me a little bit. Maybe it's my game style. I like playing range. I like jumping in and out, and the idea of like having to sit in a shrine really bothers me. Maybe if you're more into warriors and tanky stuff, it's fun. I like to be a little bit more mobile than being forced to be in a certain area. But I think you're right about Cursed Hollow. Cursed Hollow needs to be tuned somehow.
Yep.
To make it less of a one tribute and win. Or one curse and win, rather.
Right, because what happens is you get that first curse, you're able to push all 3 lanes at that point, where now once the other team's behind, it makes it harder for them to get the next set of tributes because they're pushed back a set of towers. With Dragonshire, for example, you get the Dragon Knight, and you're able to take 1, maybe 2 towers in the same lane, not push people back a whole, from the outer to the inner on all lanes. So that it makes it really powerful.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't want to sound kind of like a negative nanny kind of thing. I mean, all these maps are fun to play. The team battling is fun. I'm getting down to the kind of the nitty gritty, the idea of like the point at which the game turns from a really fun game to an esport. And that's where, that's kind of the tipping point that I'm talking about, at least from an esport that I would be interested in watching, as opposed to sometimes what we run into, it kind of feels a little bit like WoW Arena, where it's just like, okay, things are going on. I'm not really sure what's going on. Okay, someone got stunned. Okay, he's down. All right, over.
Right. I agree with you 100%. Did you have any kind of final thoughts on the blog itself, or I'm happy that Dustin Browder is kind of going out there putting blogs out, because I'm really interested to see what his view of everything is. Did you have any kind of final thoughts about the blog?
No, I thought it was great. I thought it was really well written. I liked his points. I like the fact that they're going through and saying, okay, this is what we tried. And, he didn't say it personally, but I'm sure he meant it. And he said, and Dave, this is the reason why we're not following what you're saying. And I thought it was great. I still think, we're in an alpha, so there's still some, room to change the game and to tweak it. That's why we're all here in it, and more people to come, hopefully very soon. I think I like the way they're thinking. I like the fact that they did think outside the box, really, on this one, and I may be complaining 10 times as much if they'd gone the other way.
Yep.
It's just a matter of them moving into the middle, and then they seem pretty much at the stage like they do with all their games, where they'll find the sweet spot. So I'm very sure they will, and it's going to be pretty sweet, because even in maps I don't like Dragonshire or Dragon Stout. I'm just going to call it Dragon Stout from now on, because that's one of my favorite heroes. Is that I've been in some pretty awesome games too, where just no one can keep the shrines, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yep.
And those are so much fun, and I do like them. It's just just trying to get a little bit of the zerginess out, a little less not team fighting, but team zerging, which is what it feels like. I just feel like I get enveloped sometimes by a bunch of guys, and then it's
and then it's just any other Friday night.
And then I die, Adam, and then I'm upset. So I get upset. I want them to make a map where I don't die.
the Dave lives
David's den.
David's den.
That's
yeah.
it.
You just go in, you have a nice hot chocolate, sit by the fire, and then you win, and you don't die.
In my onesie.
In your onesie.
And just sit by the fire in my onesie and wait for people to come by and bring me doubloons. How's that?
Yeah, for sure. So originally we were going to have a kind of a discussion topic. I think we're going to hold the discussion topic off until we have a couple more people on our show. Rem or Josh or Xantar. We're running a little bit longer than I expected at this point anyway, so I think it'll work out pretty well. What I'd like to do, though, is I'd like to have everybody, I guess not everyone will do it, but email the show basically with your thoughts on the discussion topic. So I'm going to give it to you here. Basically, what do you think of what I'm going to call non-hero heroes in the game. So, for a good example of this is kind of the data mine information about Brightwing, the was a fairy dragon, who they literally said, you know what, let's make a fairy dragon and take time to do the fairy dragon instead of, let's say, any other hero out there. I'm blanking out on hero names. Rather than making like a Ronin
Arthas.
or like why would he not do Ronin instead of taking the time to make Brightwing? What do you guys think of that? I guess that even fits in terms of the Sergeant Hammer. They just said, hey, let's make a siege tank hero. So send any thoughts you have on that. We'll read it on the show. It's show at heroesofTheNexus.com. Next week when we'll talk about it and kind of actually just kind of throw in your thoughts as well as we're discussing it.
Can I add my thought, Adam?
Well, you're going to be on the show next week, right?
I am going to be on. I'm just going to say that I think these non-hero heroes are great because it gives me a week off from doing lore when we do them.
Well, speaking of lore, you're going to be ready now because
I am.
We're going to move on into our hero spotlight.
This is the Hero Spotlight.
So this week, like every week, we force David to read up on history of a character, regurgitate it, and then we talk about their their gameplay. This week is the Betrayer Illidan Stormrage. So David, what we have got here for the second part of our Night Elf trilogy?
Well, for listeners who weren't here last week, we started off, we're not really doing the individual heroes this time. What we're doing is kind of talking about the Night Elves themselves, since we've already got 3 of them in the game. But this week's, we're going to touch on kind of a big point for Illidan the Betrayer when he betrays people. So when last we left Malfurion, Illidan, and Tyrande, basically their queen Ashara in the War of the Ancient had basically been seduced by her own magic, and was going to welcome the Burning Legion and their leader Sargeras to Azeroth, creating a portal in this incredibly powerful area called the Well of Eternity. This is tens of thousands of years ago in Azeroth's past. Now, the Legion, the Legion do come through. They basically attack all of these Night Elf cities and basically force Malfurion to get involved. He convinces Illidan, who at this point is, he's kind of playing around with the same forces that Ashara is playing with. Illidan's got, wants to get some of the power from the Well of Eternity. He's playing around with, the what we think of the idea as, magic in Azeroth, what mages use and such. But he does manage to convince him to team up with them and forsake his goals. And he basically also convinces, this young priestess Tyrande, who's a princess of Elune, which is their moon goddess, to come along with them and help out. So they basically appeal to the demigod Cenarius, who's this big kind of centaur-looking guy with antlers and kind of ends up looking a little bit, he looks kind of like what Malfurion ends up looking like a little bit, and come up with a plan. And Malfurion pretty much figures out that the way to stop the Legion is to destroy the Well of Eternity. Now, at this point, unfortunately, Illidan, as much as he wants to help his brother, he's already got a bit of a love triangle thing going on with Tyrande, where Illidan loves Tyrande, Tyrande loves Malfurion, Malfurion loves Tyrande, and it's just things aren't working out for Illidan the way he wants it to. And with the temptation of this idea that he's going to lose his power completely, he actually betrays Malfurion. He goes towards Sargeras, says, I pledge my allegiance to you. And Sargeras just lifts him up with his power, burns out his eyes, which creates that whole kind of, blind monk look that Illidan has, and basically, brings him to assist the Burning Legion. Now, with the help of Cenarius and all of the woodland creatures and all of the good forces on the earth, Malfurion actually does succeed in destroying the well and stopping the Legion. But he does find that Illidan's actually stolen some of its water and vials to create a new well. Malfurion, is completely disappointed in his twin brother at this point, imprisons him for a long time, and actually creates what's called the World Tree to protect this new Well of Eternity as they do anticipate that the Legion's going to come back. Now, Tyrande would move on to actually become kind of the leader of the Night Elves as the High Priestess of Elune, replacing Ashara, who was defeated and twisted into a Naga. And Malfurion and the other druids basically at that point just go to sleep. They pretty much go into the Emerald Dream and go into kind of a spiritual sleep as they look at the way Azeroth should have been in a pure natural world. And that's where we're going to leave them for this week. At this point, we're going to talk a little bit more about what happens to them afterwards. Touch a little bit on the Burning Crusade expansion, which is kind of Illidan's expansion and his last stand. Spoiler, if you didn't do the game 5 years ago, and kind of where are the Night Elves nowadays. And we're just waiting for Adam to come back. And I hope I didn't lose him. You're really low, Adam.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I had to go take care of something real quick. So kind of going into the gameplay of Illidan Stormrage, what you're looking at, he's an assassin. You kind of gets in, he gets out. He doesn't want to take too much damage. One thing that is really interesting about Illidan in terms of gameplay is he's not a mana character at all. So he relies completely on cooldowns. So where everybody else, when they go back and they heal or whatever, he just has to worry about his health. He doesn't have to worry about mana at all, which I think gives him an advantage because it's one less thing you're worrying about. And it kind of builds right into his first, his passive ability, the Mark of Azeroth. Basically, his basic attacks against targets with the Mark reduce his ability cooldowns by 0.5 seconds. So every time he attacks, his abilities, the cooldowns just start wiping away as if there's none even there.
He's also got his Betrayer's Strike. Basically, makes his next basic attack. His next basic attack does damage, but also applies a Mark of Azeroth to the target.
Mm-hmm. And that's really important. Probably one of the most important abilities he has, because, like we said, that puts on these Mark of Azeroths onto the targets. He has a crescent sweep. Basically, he deals damage in target area in front of him. It's a cone. If they are marked by the Betrayer's Strike, it does an extra 125% damage, and it silences them as well for a second and a half. So what it does, if it deals damage to the enemies, it also it reveals them if they're cloaked. Like if Nova's cloaked, you actually can see them for the next 2 seconds, no matter what.
He can also lunge at his opponents. Basically, he lunges towards the target location, dealing damage to the first enemy hero in his path. He lunges into the enemy with the Mark of Azeroth, reducing its cooldown by 50%, and roots them as Illidan basically does a flip behind them. I have to tell you that I've been killed by this ability 18 million times in this game already, and I've only been playing for a couple of weeks. This is a great counter to any of the type of vaults that the Demon Hunter does, or any type of kind of like we call them GTFO abilities, because I've seen Illidan's like catch up to me really, really quick and really toast me with this.
Mm-hmm. One thing you do have to be careful of as Illidan with the lunge is that if you lunge and what happens a lot, and this happens to me all the time, is you actually end up behind them and you start getting hit by towers because you've moved so far.
Well, thank you. I'll remember that next time.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're looking at one of the 2 heroic abilities he has is called the Hunt, where Illidan launches himself at the enemy, deals damage, stuns them for 1 second, applies the mark, and this thing has like a wicked long range. So if you think you've gotten lunged, they decided to go with the Hunt as well. So both really have that get behind the enemy, stun them, and then to start dealing damage, which is devastating if he can catch up to you, and especially with the range of the Hunt. He's going to get his hands on you and you're going to die.
I've been hunted and lunged at far too many times in regards to this. Metamorphosis is the other ability. It transforms into a demon form at the target locations. Upon impact, he deals damage in a small area and applies a Mark of Azzinoth to targets in a large area. You can see how important this Mark of Azzinoth is. It pops up so many times in his abilities. For each hero struck, he gains temporary maximum health. Also grants a 30% increased attack speed, lasts for 18 seconds, which is forever in a MOBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that I like that heroic ability more than the hunt. I think it's a little more fun. You go and you turn into a demon, and you apply marks to everyone in that area, which just significantly ups a lot of your abilities, because one, it increases damage. So if you put a mark on a lot of people and then combo it with the crescent strike or sweep, then they're all taking increased damage in the area. One thing that when you start really starting to play him, when you're looking at his talents, there's a couple talents that increases movement speed based on the number of people that are marked at the time. So it's easier to chase people down if you have more people marked at a time. There's some that if you're attacking the marked targets, the cooldown on your abilities actually goes down by a second for every attack, so you can bump that up. So even like a lot of the talents kind of work with that Mark of Azzinoth and making it stronger, giving you faster attack speed against those people. Stuff, a lot has to do with it, and really managing the mark is where you're gonna find the difficulty is in this character when playing him. Because if you can't manage the mark properly, people are going to kill you faster than you can kill them.
As a new player, should I be, if I'm a new player trying this for the first time, is Illidan a good idea to try out?
I would say wait a little bit, play a couple assassins first. All the assassins, though, I find are I don't know. I'm sure there's I haven't played one. Maybe Vala. I don't know if she's like an easy. If they consider her an easy assassin. I know she's an assassin, but the one.
Rainer's an assassin, right?
Rainer,
technically, and he's the recommended.
Yeah, so Rainer, Vala, I think are ones that you want to start out with, where Nova, Kerrigan, and Illidan are kind of like a little more difficult. You're also looking at being so cooldown dependent. You have to know when to go into battle and when not to, because you need to make sure that your cooldowns are off cooldown. Everything has to be ready to be used, because if you go in there and you're missing one key ability, you're not going to kill the enemy, and you don't have much of an escape mechanic. You can lunge away, but it's not that far that it really is considered a GTFO ability.
So does it really feel like, I haven't played him yet, does it feel like this is like a betray? This is a character who's going to betray you. He's going to come out of nowhere and just like, stab you in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about getting behind the enemy with lunge, and if you decide to go with on the hunt, you want to get behind the people and stun them, and the one thing is you can't turn on your teammates, so it kind of defeats Illidan's creed there.
Yeah, that's true. I'd like to play Arthas against you.
Yeah.
We know how that ends.
Yep, Illidan
well, I guess
wins.
we don't. That's next week. Or if you heard our previous Arthas episode.
No, everyone knows Illidan would really win that fight. They had to give it to Arthas. It was kind of a throne fight.
It was like a wrestling match.
Yeah. it was a wrestling match. Now, in terms of skins, we've really seen the Shando skin we've talked about. I love that skin. I got that skin already. Any other skins that you can think of that you might want to see for Illidan?
By the way, since you won't reveal how much you've spent on the game, I'm gonna just, every time you admit to buying something, I'm gonna add it up so that we can come out with proof later on. The skin looks great. I love that Shando skin. I like the lore kind of thinking behind it. It looks really cool. It's got, it's very druidic. I mean, obviously they can't change the model too much, so he's still got his warglaives, but they look very natural as opposed to kind of demonic. Very cool looking skin. I do like it. I mean, Illidan's just a cool looking character. It's really got that kind of, Akira Kurosawa feel to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like him. He's my favorite of the three night elves. I think a lot of people thing with Illidan, and if you're not a WoW player, or even if you're kind of a WoW player that doesn't follow the meta behind the game or the lore as much, I think Blizzard has always felt that they kind of killed off Illidan too soon. That there was a lot more potential to the character rather than what his eventual end comes to. And he was always kind of whenever they think of bringing someone back, he seems to always be at the top of the list as the person who the character that's going to come back from the dead kind of thing to show up again, and then probably betray us.
Yeah, I was going to say we have not seen the end of Illidan. To go on a quick WoW tangent, I predict we're going to see him in Warlords of Draenor.
Really?
Yep.
Why would you say that? I'm just interested.
Because nothing that, obviously I don't know any insider stuff or anything, but if they were going to bring him back, because they're already going back in time to a time where he's still alive, is the perfect time for him to sneak back into the regular timeline somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough because really it's only the past is really just Draenor, right? So I don't know if Illidan's not really popping around there yet at that point. It's still Illidanless, even though it ends up kind of being his territory.
Right.
For the most part. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
And who knows how long we're going to spend on Draenor. That's the thing, because time-wise, he goes back, he stops them from going through so that way they don't drink the blood, right? And then we come in how many years later to Draenor, you know what I'm saying? So, granted, there's a lot of things that aren't going to happen, so he might not come to Draenor for the same reasons, but in his timeline, if he does get there, he will probably, he's the one to figure out a way to get back into the regular timeline.
You know what I would like? Because at some point, I've read a fair amount of the novels, and definitely in the Wolfheart novel, and we'll talk a little bit about her next week. But Maev's Shadowsong, who's essentially Illidan's jailer, and the person who becomes obsessed with hunting him down when he escapes later on, is kind of gone from being a good person to being so obsessed with vengeance and what to do when Illidan's gone that she becomes evil. I just think it would be awesome if at some point you're like, Illidan's the good and you have to kill her, and it's Illidan who comes out to save the day. That would against her.
See, so we're building the story right now where he's gonna somehow get to Draenor, then he's gonna sneak back into the regular timeline, and then we're gonna be like, well, you're technically not as bad as you were in our timeline. Can you help us kill Maeve? And everyone's happy. Tyrande, marries Illidan. I know, I'm just kidding.
Tyrande marries Illidan.
Because Malfurion's kind of a deadbeat husband.
Malfurion really does have he's got. I'm trying to think of what the literary term for it is, but he's got boring character syndrome.
Yeah, he's also what does he sleep for hundreds of years at a time?
Yeah, and he's kind of goofy looking. He's just kind of you're kind of Tyrande. Illidan's kind of the bad boy, right? He's the Danny Zuko.
Yeah,
he's the cool guy. You'd think Tyrande. It should be like Grease. Tyrande should put on the leather jacket and perm her hair, and they sing. What's the song at the end? You better shape up.
Yes,
because I need a night elf. It's that's what they got to do. They got to be in a fun house. Illidan drops his little varsity jacket and puts on the war glaives, and that's it. That's how I want. That's how I want it all to end. And then they shut down WoW.
Is this a new thing for our show last week? You were talking about Rocky Horror. This week you're talking about Grease.
That's right.
What are you going to talk about next week?
I'm going to talk about 7 brides for 7 brothers, or 2 brides for 2 brothers. So we'll continue with the Stormrage brothers later on.
Yes.
Or I'll just do Oklahoma. I don't know. Some musical.
For sure. Okay, well, I think that'll do it for our show this week. I want to thank everybody for listening. Dave, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where they can get a hold of you at?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at BrillanCTR. That's BRILLAAN CTR. I kind of pop around the internet as well. I do some streaming with the Convert to Raid Guild, the Salad Senate, as well. I appear occasionally on other people's streams, such as Adam's.
Mm-hmm. And you can reach me at Geek of Random over at Twitter. You can also follow the show directly at the Nexus Podcast. I want to remind everyone, send in what you think of the non-hero heroes that are kind of being thrown out there to show@heroesofthenexus.com. I'm also looking for some more question ideas for when PAX East comes up, and if I get a chance to ask some questions, I just want to answer your guys' questions too, not just the ones that I have, because mine will be things like, when do I get to play a monk and stuff like that. So I want to know what other people are looking for. For those of you who are listening to our audio-only podcast, come visit us on twitch.tv/Heroes of the Nexus every Friday night at around 10 o'clock. Sometimes we get a late start. So if we get there at 10, we have a pit crew of people who will keep you talking and busy until we show up. I want to thank them for coming pretty much every show. It's Lawworker Tahu and Stacks and Pax. They're two people that have been coming to like every one of our shows, and we appreciate their support. And come visit us. We're a good time. If you want to visit our website, we're heroesofthenexus.com. We're also proud members of the Blizzmaster network of podcast bloggers and writers. So head on over to blizzmaster.com. Have yourselves a great weekend, and we will see you guys inside the Nexus. Have a great weekend.
See you guys. Greece is the word, is the word, is the word that you
And stop. Okay.
Well,
it was stop the Audacity and the Grease singing. No.
Yeah, stop singing, David. Whatever you have to do. I've been told that many times. They wouldn't let me sing in school, you know.
Really?
No, they wouldn't. They actually would not let me sing in school because I was so bad. But they had me like as a featured person for one Christmas. Like they did like a Happy Birthday Jesus like Christmas thing. This is back when they did that stuff in public schools.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like the best singer come up and me because they said I had the cutest curly hair.
I was in Greece in high school.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Like the hair or the play?
The play.
Maybe they had like the pompadour thing going.
No, I had.
So who were you?
Sonny Latieri.
Oh, Sonny. That's yeah. He's not the guy who ends up alone in the boob thing. You know, like when they're at the end when they're at the fair and they all have their heads on the thing, and like, you know, Sonny's with Frenchie, and then like the other guys with like the little dog thing or something like that, right?
I thought Sonny was the one that won. I don't remember the movie. In the play, he's the one who's kind of by himself. Yeah, he's the single guy.
Oh, see, I think. Oh, maybe okay. So I'm getting it wrong. I wonder who's the other guy. You should know all this stuff. Did you get like method acting? Like you got right into it?
Nah, it's been. Ooh, I don't even want to admit it, but it's been like 12 years.
Yeah. You know what my claim to shame is?
What?
We did The Wizard of Oz in school when I was like in grade 3.
Mm-hmm.
I played Toto. They had me as Toto. I'm like, that's the most humiliating moment of my life, and now I've revealed it in front of millions.
I got the job of Sonny because Sonny in the play is the one who is the bass singer.
Oh, okay, I could see that.
And
I got it because I was fuzzy.
Yeah, because you were fuzzy. Yeah, I was in theater only my senior year, but I was in AV, so I always did like the production end of the plays because the theater guy and the AV guy were the same teacher. Mm-hmm. So I was always the sound guy, and I did all that. I was kind of like the guy who ran it, and then they needed someone, and he goes, "You can sing bass?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, we need somebody to sing bass because, oddly enough, all the guy singers in my school were all higher pitched singers.
Okay.
We're a small school, so if the people, so they were like, yeah, and then we were in it. It was fun.
Yeah. How big was your high school?
Well, so my graduating class was 110.
Okay. Whoa.
My 7th grade class was 21.
Wow.
Because we basically all get sent to the bigger high school. And so and that was the graduating class was it like 3 or 4 towns?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we were pretty small.
Oh wow. We had about I think 2,000 in our high school.
3,000.
Yeah, 2,000 people.
2,000 people graduating or 2,000 total?
No, not graduating.
So
no,
like
just in the
500
school
per
total. So maybe
roughly?
400. We had 5 grades. We had grade 13 back then. We got rid of it later, but
They-
we had
They
grade
just
13.
said that to you to make you feel better.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Everyone
Yeah,
goes to school
sure,
to 13th grade.
Sure, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, you all did okay. You're just in grade 13.
They got rid of it the
we
next
actually-
year and didn't have it the year before, but it's okay.
No, so that's the thing is what you guys called grade 13, we called grade 14. So we did actually have 5 years of high school legitimately. So yeah, that's Between that and the Toto reference, I've had a pretty humiliating post show so far.
That's pretty funny. Man, the funniest thing about like we had like I said about 110. Our junior year is when they start like telling you where you are in your class in terms of grades and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was third in my class.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So the best part about this is, and I guess it's not the best part. Usually people tell you, but my guidance counselor takes me in and tells me I'm third in my class, and they're like, in a fit of irony, your twin sister is third to last.
Ah.
And I'm like, shouldn't you not be telling me this? She's like, it's your twin sister. I'm sure your mother will tell you eventually. She did.
So, Adam's sister. You have a twin sister?
Yes.
I just always wanted to say that. Sister.
Sister.
You have a twin sister.
Yeah, we're exact opposites.
If you will not be turned.
She's already been turned.
No, well, there you go. Well, then let's just go for a beer. Let's stop this lightsaber battle right now.
So yeah, but it was one of those funny things. I have no idea what Tahu's trying to say there.
You could have been the bee's knees, I think, is what he's trying to say there.
Then
It's something apostrophe S. I think it's got to do with a horse and another name for a donkey, is my guess. Oh, can't hear you, Adam.
No, I wasn't talking.
Oh,
I was trying to figure out what it was because it's all stars for me. So
yeah, it's all stars for me too.
oh
We have a very clean chat room apparently.
yeah, I have something I did on purpose. I think that'll do it for us for tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming. The show went. No, I sound surprised. I don't mean to sound surprised, David.
I'm a little surprised.
It went really well. Like we actually went the full hour. I thought we were gonna have problems not going, but we tangented pretty well.
Yeah, we did. We just kept talking. That was like our stream of consciousness show.
Man, are we gonna start getting like messages like "Stay on target"? Like talk about Heroes of the Storm.
Talk about Heroes of the Storm. God damn it!
Like,
Wow.
why are you guys talking about more lore than needed?
Or worse, they want to hear more about our theater past.
Our feeder past.
That's right, our past in the theater.
Oh, theater. They
Yeah.
say theater. I'm like that's
Oh,
like,
theater past.
like,
That's
isn't
my
that the
present, man. Yeah, that's my present and possible future.
Oh man, too funny. Okay, well we're gonna take the stream down. I want to thanks everyone again. I really appreciate people coming and listening to our show. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys are
it's fun.
great. You guys are great. You'll be seeing us shortly, right? Hopefully in a few minutes.
Yeah, in a little bit. I have to take care of just a couple things.
Okie dokie.
Okay, talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye.
See you guys. You can see Adam in Greece on YouTube. His performance.
YouTube didn't exist.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. All right. Woof. That was my Toto. Woof.